Hi there, I'm Lynn Cox. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and I help women more rapidly overcome the impacts of childhood abuse, childhood sexual abuse, and once they've gotten out of domestic violence relationships, more quickly recover. I've been a little bit quiet for the last month. I've taken some time off to get married and have a honeymoon, but I'm really glad to be back and working more and more with clients. It seems that in fall, people become a little more interested in addressing those things that are causing them some grief. So I put up a post earlier today about today's talk, and today's talk being the difference between reasons and excuses. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to start this off by saying some people might not like hearing what I have to say, but I am well qualified to say it because I myself have experienced domestic violence as well as childhood abuse and CSA, and used particular methods that I deliver for my clients to overcome those residual issues, as well as set up my life in a way that I want to set up my life. So there's a lot of talk out there about the impacts of trauma, the impacts of abuse, how detrimental that can be in childhood to experience abuse, CSA, how often those things will lead and those experiences will lead if left unchecked. So, if left unhealed, how those can lead to issues in adulthood. Like the statistics for women who have been in domestic violence relationships, the statistics of those women who have also experienced childhood abuse are off the charts. And I would actually call both childhood abuse, child sexual abuse, and domestic violence as epidemics in Western societies. So, anyway, there can be a wide range of residual impacts if left unchecked. Childhood abuse can lead to more problems in adulthood. That experience can lead to being in a relationship where there's violence, where violence is being perpetrated on you. Can lead to a wide range of really deleterious effects. This is the reason. These are the reasons, and there's a lot of talk about that, the impact of trauma, the reasons for depression, the reasons for people having higher than average substance abuse rates, the reasons for people being unable to have satisfying sex lives, the reason for people having issues with relationships, the reasons for having low self esteem, the reasons for feeling like your life is worse than other people's lives. So there are reasons, and believe me, I am very empathetic to those reasons and very have deep experience with those both personally as well as with my clients. But the point of this talk is the differentiator between reasons and excuses. This is a place where some people can get really stuck. Knowing the reasons, if you have experienced childhood abuse, childhood sexual abuse, been in a domestic violence relationship, and are experiencing what I will call these secondary symptoms of having had those experiences, flashbacks, depression, anxiety, trouble with relationships, trouble with sexual relationships, addictive behaviors, a disassociation from your body. If you have experienced that, those are fair reasons for why you're having these secondary impacts. But there does come a time when, as an adult, if you've extricated yourself from a violent relationship and or you're an adult who has looked back and realized that, yes, you were abused as a child in different ways, there comes a choice point. And sometimes people get too stuck in the reasons for the state of their life. And that's when that can turn into excuses. Excuses for why, no matter what I try, nothing seems to work out for me. Excuses as to why, well, maybe for other people, having a relationship and having a family. Maybe that's for other people, but because I've had this background and experience, that's not for me. Excuses as to why I'm wallowing in depression or why I'm not taking care of my body because I just feel so bad about myself. So, this is somewhere where people can get stuck. And if this resonates with you at all, and believe me, like I said, I've had these experiences myself in my life. I've basically also had experiences with just about every, secondary deleterious impact of childhood abuse as well as domestic violence abuse. So I understand. But I also understand that there's this flashpoint. I'll call it a flashpoint in your adult life where you need to make a decision as to how you want to experience life. Do you want those reasons to become excuses for a less than joyful, a less than healthy, a less than connected type of life? Some people do make that decision. And I think it's a real waste of life because I do hold the belief, and the clients of mine who do the best is when they are able to basically eradicate from their belief system the belief that because XYZ was done to them, that means they have to live an XYZ way. We get a lot of negative messages out there in media. A lot of people do spend, I think, in my opinion, far too long living in a way that could be described as being more like a victim, like everything's happening to you without you having the autonomy or the ability to make decisions or the ability to make changes. And I know that might sound harsh, and I do apologize if I've offended anybody. I'm interested in working with people, and I do work with people who have decided, no, I'm no longer going to use those reasons as an excuse for staying single, as an excuse for having a terrible sex life, as an excuse for, not putting myself out there, not trying things, as an excuse for not taking care of myself, as an excuse for feeling different and sad. And I mean, childhood abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence situations, those are all extremely traumatic. They can be very traumatic, and different people respond and move forward in different ways. I've also worked with a lot of clients who have had very similar secondary secondary symptoms in their lives, that also people who I've worked with who have experienced childhood abuse, sexual abuse, abusive adult relationships, who have had the same ones. And everything can be relative. And it's not diminishing those experiences, but it's really, if you're experiencing any of those things that I have talked about and you come from a history of domestic violence, childhood abuse, child sexual abuse, maybe just ask yourself the question, am I using this as an excuse? Am I leaning on this? Am I kind of stuck in that identification? Because basically our entire experience of life has to do with our perception of ourselves. So just ask yourself that question, really look at it. And a few things that you can kind of look out for that could be indicators that maybe you are using these reasons as an excuse for a less than joyful, connected, loving, healthy life. Are, do you feel different than others? Do you look at other people and ever have the thought, well, yes, that's maybe for them, but not for me because I'm too messed up, or too much has happened? Do you look and feel some longing? Do you feel resentment and anger that's maybe unresolved or not really worked through? These are a few indicators. Do you feel weak and like you don't have any decisions in how you live your life, or that things are being done to you more than you're navigating and crafting how your life looks and feels and how you feel, because you do really have that ability to make a decision. Many people have, overcome those secondary symptoms and impacts of having gone through abuse as a child, violent relationships, and have gone on to have very healthy partnerships, very fulfilling, um, intimate sex lives, amazing careers, very exceptional health and vitality, and just a sense of this is the most important thing, because everything does boil down to our beliefs and our self perception. Most importantly, a real reverence and love for themselves. That totally is possible. So just ask yourself, maybe, are the reasons becoming excuses? And if you're not happy with the outcome, there are ways to get at your core beliefs, your self perception, and make some changes and actually enjoy a life and live a life that you want to live. Hope everyone's having a great day. Reach out, and bye for now.